funky.
All right. We are back. But there unfortunately is no Walking Dead episode to talk about this time.
We have even better stuff, though.
What did I watch last night then?
Probably a rerun.
Because it was a Monday night. Oh, today's Tuesday, isn't it?
As much as you were not impressed with this season, you probably very easily could have saw a rerun and not realized it.
I figured that they saved Tyrese. That's the reason he was on the episode the other night.
Oh, no.
Because he came back. It's like, oh, okay, so he's the first zombie to come back as a normal human being. And he's like, I've seen the other side.
Man, that's awesome.
Sorry, that was terrible.
That
was a great Tyrese impression.
No, you expect better of me. I know. I'm sorry.
JP is going to be the star of this podcast.
Exciting.
This is JP's
I have some really pertinent
podcast.
information.
So, JP, you drew some parallels from Negan to Montezuma.
Well, as you guys know,
and Rick is your Cortez.
The early American colonial period is one of my favorite eras in history.
I didn't know that.
It's a good era. That's a good era to like.
Yeah, especially the Spanish conquest of like Central and South America. And it was just, I couldn't help but draw parallels between Negan and Moctezuma. You can pronounce him Montezuma.
And what'd you say? What was the first thing you said?
Moctezuma. That I found a lot of material where they actually spell it like that, but it goes either way.
And now you told me a couple days ago that this is Montezuma 2?
Yes.
So what was up with Montezuma 1?
Wait a minute, there were 2 Montezumas?
I know, right?
Yeah, it was a dynasty. And
life is more interesting than this season of The Walking Dead.
Just saying.
No. All right, JP.
No, but seriously.
But for real.
Moctezuma was way more brutal than Moctezuma the First. Moctezuma the Second.
Were they related?
Yeah, it was his papa.
Oh, okay. I didn't know how that works.
His daddy,
he's adopted, or it's just like a adopted kid, or something.
Or like a mini-me.
Yeah. Genetics and
right.
Cloning and all that.
You guys
Science.
aren't taking this nearly as serious as you should be.
Okay,
here we
we're
go.
We're going to give you.
Did
you're right.
JP just say we're not taking something seriously?
Would you
what
have just
kind of
given
world
me
are we
the
living
buzzer?
in?
Would I be the one to have gotten the buzzer
I
there?
wish I had a sound effect.
Oh my!
Welcome
What
to my
was
life,
that?
partner. Yeah, that sounded like you were.
Please do that again. Okay, all right. I don't know what that is, but that'll make me shut up. I'll tell you that much.
Now, who needs a buzzer when you've got bumpy?
Some ladies would say that JP's mouth is a buzzer. Hey,
Why would they say that?
Cunnilingus.
Oh,
I'm not. All right, so you're right. We're going to take this seriously. I know normally the roles are
Here we go. I'm
reversed
sorry.
So, all right.
Here we go. See, doesn't it feel fun though? Isn't it fun?
Kind of, yeah. Until you get called out and you feel like an asshole.
Okay, I got you.
All right,
I'm used to it by now.
So, JP, you've put a lot of work into this. He's even got a little PowerPoint.
I have a PowerPoint.
So,
Not a lot of images, but
JP, you have our undivided attention. Let's hear it.
okay. So Moctezuma.
Okay.
He came into rule in 1466, and he ruled until 1520.
Wait, what was he? 14 what? He came along and when?
66 and ruled till 1520.
Wow, that's a pretty long little run.
That's not bad.
But if it tells you anything, Cortez, the Spanish conqueror, just hit the scene in 1519. So 1 year, that's all it took to put Moctezuma down.
Did they know each other beforehand? Like, how long did they know each other before everything went down?
No, it wasn't like Professor X and Magneto. They
Okay,
weren't like,
that's what I was going
best
for.
friends
Yeah,
from way back
Okay.
when. No,
Is it okay to ask questions as we go? I have so many questions.
yeah, of course.
I don't want to throw you off.
This is very interactive.
Okay, because I'll hold questions till the end if I need
No,
to.
Actually, you know what? No, let's like ask some, but let's
Yeah.
let him get through because I feel like myself, I'd probably ask a million questions
Okay.
and you'd get nowhere. So yeah, I mean, every once in a blue moon a question, but let's tally it up, and at the end we'll just throw a bunch at him and watch him try to dodge them.
Okay.
No, there's
Here we
no
go.
dodging. It's
Go for
a
it.
beautiful thing.
I have faith
anyway,
in you.
Moctezuma ruled. It was almost all of Mexico. He had a standing army of 200,000 men. 200,000.
I'm trying to envision that in my head.
Yeah.
It's a
Think
lot of
about that.
people.
That's even more than Negan, I know. And
How many
lot
think,
more than
Yeah,
Negan.
I was going to say, how many
Yeah.
do you think Negan has? How many
Comic,
people do you
I
think
thought
he has
like
under him?
50, but
That's
like
it?
in the show, I'm thinking like 100 or more.
I figured at least be in the triple digits. 200,000 people underneath you.
yeah. A standing army.
How do you keep all of them
That's
happy?
the army. That's just, there were actually 30 million people
Oh,
occupying Mexico back then.
Okay.
Like 30 million.
And was he
Think
the
about
ruler
that.
over all of them?
Well, there were really like 3 nation states.
Okay.
And they were very like cooperative up until he came along, and he basically like put, much like Negan, you know, he was
I
like,
was gonna
look,
say,
everyone's
yeah.
going to be up under me, you know, there's not going to be
Okay.
any kingdom ruling itself and hilltop ruling, like I'm ruling this thing.
So you would have had like the Hilltop Kingdom and Hilltop Kingdom
Alexandria.
and Alexandria,
Alexandria.
how they would have been had Negan not come along. They would have all been getting along, probably trading and being allies, and Negan comes along and says, hey, you're going to all be under my rule now.
Yep.
Great parallel.
Yeah.
All right, so far you've got me. Let's keep going. Here we go.
Anyway, so Cortez rolls up.
All right.
He's got like maybe 500 men.
Now, who is Cortez in this grand scheme of things? Is he just another general
Is
or
he
something?
Rick?
I get that he's Rick. So why is he just some random person that popped who's like, I'm not appreciating what Montezuma's doing, so I'm just going to step up and take him down?
He was a beautiful Spaniard.
Okay.
And he comes over, and God, gold, and glory is his
okay.
whole thing.
Right.
And he's like, there's all this gold, all these, fancy, beautiful brown women. I'm just going to conquer all of this.
Okay.
And it's going to be mine.
And that's Montezuma, you're saying, or that's Cortez?
That's Cortez.
Saying that? Oh, wow.
Cortez.
Okay.
He came over from Spain.
Okay.
I actually have a whole slide of Rick Grimes versus Cortez.
Let's hear it.
Yes.
Okay.
And we will not interrupt you. Let's hear it.
Yeah, like I said, field the questions. Anyway, so
I have so many.
I mean, Cortez basically comes over from Spain, and he is, he's got like this full force. He's an explorer, a conqueror, whereas Rick Grimes and company, they're basically refugees looking for a place to crash,
Okay.
So that's a big one right there. And it is a big one.
Sorry, I'm really
I really am
interested in this.
enjoying
I'm
this.
starting to get some interest.
Would you
in it
be
a little
willing
bit.
to come to my house and read stories to me as I go to bed?
I would love it.
Awesome. I don't
that's
think my
nice.
girlfriend would be as cool with it, but ignore her.
Well, it depends on which side of the bed he's reading from.
I'll
Reading from her side of the bed than reading
True.
over her.
I'll
She might
plant
not mind.
myself right in the middle. Why not?
Yeah, that's nice.
Now,
Keep
see-
you warm at least during these
Yeah.
cold days.
I really wish I had like a bed to kick my feet on while I listen. Go ahead.
You do look like you have that hand, your face in your hands kind of
I'm
thing.
holding my chin, in my hands and then just enjoying
Daddy,
it.
tell us the story about Cortez and Montezuma.
Well, anyway, Rick, unlike Cortez, didn't possess anything that Negan didn't already have. Cortez comes over. He has guns. He has cannons. He has horses. The Spaniards, horses had been extinct, horse-like creatures on the North American continent for thousands of years. The Mexicans, they didn't know what they were looking at. Or, Aztecs, I shouldn't call them Mexicans. The Aztecs and the native peoples in general, what are these things? They thought that the Spaniards and the horses were actually like minotaurs. Isn't that what you call them?
Yeah, like half human, half horse kind of thing. Okay.
They thought they were actually like godly
That's
creatures.
freaky. Could you imagine seeing a horse for the first time?
Oh, yeah.
Like never having seen a horse ever, and then you see this giant creature. That's so crazy.
It is crazy.
Majestic, but crazy. So was I'm so sorry. I know I always said we were gonna once in a blue moon kind of thing. Wait, so I always in my head when you were telling us about this in the past couple of weeks, is not cut as dry as good and bad. Like Montezuma's a bad guy and Cortez is a good guy. Are they both just kind of like out to do what they want to do for themselves?
Yeah, very much so.
Kind of like Rick and Negan.
Yeah.
But
God, Gold, and Glory. That sounds like that would be almost like Negan's
God,
motto.
Gold, and Glory sounds like a title to a really great book.
Or a great 90s grunge album.
Oh, God.
Ooh,
yeah, God,
boy.
Gold, and Glory.
But no, Cortez was. Moctezuma. He was responsible. Let's get back to Moctezuma.
Okay.
He was his patron god. The Aztecs had many gods. His god was the god of war, which was the hummingbird. The hummingbird was their god of war.
Are you serious?
And that was his
the most peaceful god of war ever.
Yeah, but that was his patron god, and he was all about sacrificing the all of the native tribes that were surrounding his kingdom. He was all about sacrificing them to this god. And so he would take them up on top of the pyramid, disembowel them, rip their hearts out, just all kinds of heinous, awful stuff. And one thing that he used to communicate with his god, where my slides are getting all mixed up, y'all have to
Please
bear
say
with me.
it was a hummingbird.
Please say like he put a note on a hummingbird's leg and
And then
sent it up.
was it African or European? Hummingbird.
Whichever are always outside of my mom's
All
house.
right. Okay, there you
Because
go.
they're the cutest
It's
little
probably
like
the African hummingbirds, yeah.
He communicated with the hummingbird god through psilocybin. I think I'm saying that right. Psilocybin, yes. Which is basically like he was tripping on shrooms all the time.
Yeah.
Trying to communicate with his patron god. So, the whole argument for a lot of people is, were the mushrooms making him crazy and sacrificing all these people? Or was he just already a psychopath and eating all these mushrooms just,
Whoa.
That's a great question.
accentuated all these
Yeah.
crazy ideas that were already in his head? Which is not like human sacrifice was a new thing for the Americas. The Aztecs were sacrificing people way before Moctezuma. But even still, he just totally kicked it up a notch. I mean, they say, I know he was Emerald of the
I know. I just
Aztec.
can't imagine sitting around with your friends like eating mushrooms. All of a sudden, you know what would make this really great? If we start sacrificing people to a hummingbird god.
Oh, I could. Yeah. I mean,
granted, times were simpler 500, 600 years ago.
Yeah, and there was cannibalism too. They would eat parts of these people. It was some wild stuff.
Man, there is a lot of correlation to The Walking Dead with this.
people eating people.
Yeah.
People who eat people.
And I'm sure as they stumbled around tripping on shrooms, they probably look like zombies.
Yeah. But anyway, you know, Moctezuma, he was sacrificing it to his god, and he was also keeping everyone in check with these horrible acts of barbarism. You know, look what's going to happen if you step out of line.
Oh, okay.
Much like Negan, you know, Negan basically was his own god. He was doing it to gratify himself.
Right.
And, you know, also to keep people in line. So there's a strong parallel there.
I bet Montezuma had plenty of bitches.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
In the loosest term of the words. Loosest.
I wonder if he had his own Eugene.
Oh, we're getting ready to get to some more Rick parallels. So, you know, without Dwight, Rick might not have taken down Negan.
Sure.
We agree on that. He had an inside
Or pushed him
man.
away at least. Okay.
Cortez had his own inside man.
Which Cortez and Rick are the simile is what we're going for right now.
Right,
So
yeah,
Cortez had his own kind of right-hand man?
Yes. Yeah, well, there was this chick named Malinal. I think I'm saying that right. And she hated Moctezuma for just all of his acts of barbarism. We don't know exactly what her relationship possibly was to him, whether she was like maybe a concubine or just had watched her family get massacred. I mean, it could have been any number of things. But basically, she was one of the few native peoples who could speak both Spanish and the native language. Because there had actually been a party that Cuba at this point was already like a colony of Spain. It had a Spanish governor, all this stuff. And a party had went from Cuba to the Mexican mainland to try to, you know, go ahead and establish, you know, relations. I'm sure, you know, they were eventually going to conquer it, but they were
Sure, you want to get in there first.
Yeah. They were almost completely decimated. But Malinal had met this original, you know, party, learned English and all this stuff. So she finds Cortez when he comes on the scene, and he basically gives him the info he needs to take down Moctezuma.
And so now does she travel with him, or she just pretty much just gives him the information and goes on her separate way?
They actually become lovers.
Whoa!
Do they really?
How much of this I feel like you making up right now? This is crazy.
I guess nothing will turn you on quite like a woman who helps you take down your enemy.
So
does this mean Rick and Dwight are going to?
I was just saying, Michonne is they're going to break up, and then
it could be a strong parallel there. I hope Scott Gimple is listening, because these are some good story ideas he could pick up. Isn't that who's doing it now?
Yeah. Okay. Showrunner.
Yeah. So anyway,
so they fall in love.
Yeah.
How long after she becomes like his confidant?
I think it
did
pretty
they
much
court for a while.
Immediately, like, did he just hear her saying all these things that would take him down? It's like, tell me one more.
Yeah, she's like, just wet. Dude.
She's like,
she can't stand it.
Under the temple. He's like, yeah, under the temple. Tell me a little more. There's actually a secret access. Oh man, how small is this
and
access?
He sacrifices people to a hummingbird god. Oh my god, those wings go so fast.
Pause.
Yeah. Yep.
I imagine they kicked it off pretty quickly.
Okay.
Hey, I have information to take down my enemy. We must have sex, then you will tell me. And that's obviously translated from Spanish.
Yeah, that sounded like the voice dub of like a Japanese film where they dub
absolutely.
over or something. Yeah, like a samurai flick.
Absolutely.
But anyway, the Aztecs have this calendar, and it's kind of like the Chinese calendar. You know, you have year of the rat, year of the dog, year of this, year of that. So pretty much they're coming into a new year.
Was there an eagle on that calendar?
Probably.
America.
And this is different than the Mayan calendar, right?
They might have been the same.
Okay.
I'm sure it was like on the same principle as far as the how they told with the sun.
Gregorian or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a lunar calendar or solar anyway. But anyway, the Aztec legend has it with this coming year is going to be the return of the feathered serpent, who, according to the Aztecs, was banished from Mexico by the god of Moctezuma, the evil hummingbird god, and all these evil gods. This was a nice, benevolent god that was banished, and he is foretold to come back in this new year that's just coming up on him.
So I just want to make sure I get. So you said feathered serpent.
A feathered
So
serpent.
let me just get something right. So in their world, a hummingbird is the vision of evil.
Yes.
But a feathered serpent is just it's cool. He's nice. He's
basically
just
a dinosaur.
Like what is
It-
pretty much is what a legless dinosaur is what you're telling me is the good guy, and the hummingbird is the bad guy.
And so with this coming year, they're like, I can't pronounce what they actually call it, but the feathered
See what we got
serpent
here?
is coming back.
Where is it?
Well, I didn't even write it down. I was like, there's no way I'll pronounce it.
Oh well. Okay. So anyway, feathered serpent.
It's coming back. And
Okay.
according to their myth, it's going to be a figure of fair skin, blonde hair, and it's going to sail, well, not sail, but it's going to come across the ocean on a boat with no paddles.
Daenerys.
And
Yep. It's the Khaleesi, isn't it?
it could be.
So no, who was the prophecy then?
Well, I mean, Cortez seemingly fits everything. The Aztecs don't have sails, so they see this great ship come across the water, no paddles, a fair-skinned, light-haired dude come around, and so Malinal's like, you know what, everything fits. I'm going to make this happen. And so she's telling all this to Cortez. She's like, look, all these oppressed people surrounding the kingdom and within the kingdom, because like I said, there were 2 city-states that Montezuma was totally just shitting on, Mm-hmm. And so she's like...
Now, just to clarify, because these were different times, was he literally dropping loads in the city?
He probably was.
I feel like put him on the steps to the city and light it on fire and then run it off.
Montezuma is here, and so everyone would clear. He'd go in the middle of the street.
Pound on the city gate and then light the bag on fire with his turds in it. Let me in. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's even better. I like that.
Okay, so we're going more of a figuratively shitting on
Okay,
it.
figuratively shitting on him. Okay.
But she's like, look, he's been persecuting us since he's been around, and not to mention his pop, who was no picnic either. So
when does it stop?
Yeah.
Okay.
So look, you've got your force. We can tie you into this myth, and next thing you know, we've got we're in Walking Dead terms, we've got the kingdom now. We've got the hilltop.
Yeah.
We can rally these groups together, and we can take them down.
This is crazy. Like, you weren't kidding I feel like you're just telling me the past season here, but you're changing the names of people and locations.
No way, man.
And there's more fecal matter involved.
Way more
A little
fecal
bit
matter
more.
involved.
Yeah, a lot more
Not nearly as much dog food, but a lot more fecal matter.
Stepped it up a notch.
But,
So he's come to them, or they're trying to make it happen. She's trying to convince everybody that Cortez is this winged serpent.
The winged serpent, yeah. She's like, the prophecy is true. He's come back, and he's come to liberate us from this evil king.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so people, well, not everyone eats it up. There is some resistance. There was actually one of the leaders of one of the bigger communities was like, look, I see what these Spaniards are up to, where it's, the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude was absolutely right, because it wasn't long before... If you opposed Cortez, I mean, he was not like, okay, well, he wasn't like Rick. Well, make your mind up. We'll come back later.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know Rick, eventually he was like, we're going to take your guns and all this stuff. But
Dude,
I haven't heard you do a Rick impression.
Do it again.
we're going to take your guns. That was the first time.
The first time was great. That was more
you feel like you tried too hard. But man, that was amazing. All right, sorry. Go on.
But anyway, I mean, Cortez, if you opposed him, he was feeding you to the dogs. He was burning you at the stake. I mean, these were like Spanish Inquisition times. Mm-hmm. So the Spaniards...
No one expects that.
We're ruthless.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were no saints themselves.
Right.
And so, but...
As Rick has done some pretty... some pretty questionable things to keep his group alive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
So Cortez he ruled through barbarism as well. He just happened to have the guns and the cannons, and now he's gathering the numbers also.
They had guns and everything then?
Yeah. The Spaniards had their muskets.
It was a little flintlock.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You light it on fire and you pull it in.
Put the swizzle stick or whatever it's called.
Like I said, not to mention the horses. And also, not to mention European disease.
Yeesh. You talking like the plague or...
I mean, just smallpox,
chemical warfare,
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Montezuma's
unintended
revenge,
chemical warfare,
traveler's diarrhea.
I'm kind of skipping ahead, but I think maybe 40 years after Cortez initially, hits the ground running, the population of Mexico, of Central America, went from 30 million to 1 million. Literally 29 million people died.
Good God!
Just from disease, and I mean from persecution too, from war and all that stuff. So,
wow, that's a lot of people.
But yeah, basically Moctezuma invites Cortez into his city and basically has him there as a captive. But I mean, Cortez is just like, whatever, we'll hang out. We're not actually your captive, whether you know it or not.
That's really cool. So it was just kind of playing the fool, like, oh no, please don't capture me and take me into your city.
That's funny. No, please.
Totally. Okay.
And meanwhile, he's like, wow, you certainly have a lot of gold stuff flying around, Moctezuma. Definitely, not turning me on. So anyway, as I said, they eventually make Moctezuma their captive. I don't think he survives. Well, yeah.
How does that, in your own, how does that happen? In your own place where you live?
I mean, he was just... basically what happened is Moctezuma's people were like, look, this probably isn't a great idea having these people in our city like this. So he was just like...
Moctezuma, can I talk to you for a second? Come here, man.
Come here. There's people in our
Cortez. City. It's like, just why don't you just, kind of make yourself scarce for a while? And
they told Moctezuma that?
Well, no, Moctezuma said that to Cortez.
Okay.
But by this time, Cortez,
I'll say, wow, they had beach ball sized lady balls to be saying that.
But Cortez, at this point, he's got his, his numbers are growing and all, and it's not long before he just takes him down. And
beach ball sized lady nuts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go. I heard. I was like, what? Okay.
So
how did he kill him?
It's not really known. It's not. He dies for sure.
What? Well, I would imagine he did at some point.
Yeah, he died 1520. No, like I said, Cortez is there 1519. By 1520, he's got the
wow.
He's got Mexico. He's the Aztecs are done for, subjugated. Disease is ravaging them.
And Cortez got all the gold and all the land and all the fame
and all these beautiful things of intrinsic historical value, statues and idols, and so he just melted it down just for the gold, Wow.
So take us to the day. I in my mind, I want to imagine it was a night raid. What do you have when it happened, the attack that ended all attacks?
Did they bring them a fake horse and they were like, look how beautiful it is, and then a bunch of people came
totally
out
didn't steal this from the Trojans.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything that elaborate. I should have given this disclaimer, I'm no historian. Anything I may have, been a little off on, which I'm not off on.
I was
anything
just
major.
going to say you would be a great history teacher.
I was under the impression that you were a historian.
Mainly because you let us interrupt you, which would make any history teacher much more interesting, but still, you know what I mean? We can ask questions.
No, I want it to be super interactive. I'm trying to see if there's anything... Moctezuma, another thing he had in common with Negan, he created the biggest divide between the proletariat and the ruling class ever. Basically, you're either, you're Negan, Negan's immediate people, where you can just walk around and take whatever you want, or you're, there in the pit, making pickles and stuff.
In the pit making pickles.
Yeah. So the divide between the ruling class and, the lower class was never wider than then.
Keep going, man. I'm digging it.
All right,
soothing.
Because I feel like we got to his death way too soon. So what did once Montezuma's gone, what did Cortez start doing?
Did he sit on his throne?
Right? Did he focus on somewhere else to expand to?
Did he make love to his informant on the throne?
What was her name? Vitriol or whatever she's called? Geritol? What was her name?
Minotaur, I think.
Minotaur.
I think now there's Malinol.
Malinol.
Yeah.
Sounds like
a nicotine gum or something.
Malinol, it sounds like a
yeah, it does.
Sounds like some sort of medicine.
Malinol. So
side effects include nausea, diarrhea.
Was there a love
indigestion.
scene? Paint a scene for us. We imagine this like The Walking Dead. Rick and Michonne have had their love scenes. I need a vivid description of a love scene between the two.
Are you sure did you really just ask him to do that? Are you sure you want to get into
Jaypea.
that? I know.
I really want to hear this.
I mean, if you've just conquered the Aztecs,
you ever just meet someone and you're like, they intrigue you. You're like, I wonder how they have sex.
Every time that's the first thing I think of when I meet someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, what better place to do it on?
Is that
than
why
on
you're
top
not
of
allowed within 500 feet of?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, a couple other things, but that's one of the reasons.
500 feet? That's not nearly long enough.
At least it's not arm's reach.
Yeah.
That's all. That's as long as I can spin around and not hit anyone, then it's fine.
But no, they had to have done it on the on top of the pyramid, right?
Right on the point of the top of it?
Well, no, it's flat. It's a flat
That's
surface.
kinky.
Oh, okay.
Because that's where
and dangerous.
That's where they did a lot of sacrifice up on top of the pyramid, and body parts would just be rolling down it.
I bet he sacrificed that,
Yeah.
So I really am enjoying it, though.
No, seriously, like, this is cool. I like learning about history.
Well, one thing the hummingbird god loved was male sacrifices. He wasn't as big on the lady. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't sacrifice women
What
to
a
him.
So,
sexist.
I have brought you a lady to sacrifice. Do you have any young boys? I mean, that's fine, but bring some men next time.
I mean, they would actually have pins filled with like hundreds of people where they would like be fattening them up before they would sacrifice them.
What?
Explain. Go and tell us about these sacrifices. Like, what do they do exactly?
I mean, they would take you up there, and sometimes he would, castrate you, and then just slide the knife up your body cavity.
I don't want to hear about this anymore. I'm
be
done.
pulling stuff out, looking for your
I'm
spleen.
done. No, you go ahead. You tell Justin about this. I'm going to go get some water. I can't.
What about the spleen?
I can't do all that, man.
About the spleen?
I can't. Y'all enjoy this. You talk about that for a second.
I think he just. I think he enjoyed it. But I mean, the big thing is he liked to rip your chest open and see your beating heart. A lot like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom.
Kali Ma.
Yeah, he loved that.
Mum Shibata.
Shokti-day.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Damn, with these impressions.
Thank you.
He loved that beating heart, and
Oh,
eventually he'd rip the heart out.
okay.
Can you go back and say that in Rick's voice?
Yup today. I don't know. I can't. That was a one and done Rick impression.
Which Rick are we talking
man.
about? We're not talking about Rick Grimes. Are we talking about Rick Ross? Like, what was that?
It's
Rick and Morty.
Rick from Rick and Morty. Is that what that was?
Rick Dale, isn't that a fictional
Rick
character?
Dale?
Oh, that was great.
Oh, no.
So they would fatten them up, and they would they would rip your chest open and watch your heartbeat. Mm-hmm. That definitely had to be a side effect of the.
You missed the
shrooms.
castrating part.
Yeah.
They would castrate them first.
Yeah, it
and
wouldn't
then,
be. It wouldn't be the
Give 'em a-
Spanish Inquisition times if genitalia wasn't getting mutilated.
That's very true.
Or
That's very
stuff
true.
shoved up your ass.
That's very true. That
I've
was
watched.
a lot
I watched
of
a
that.
documentary on the History Channel. It was talking about the torture devices they used during the Spanish Inquisition. Some screwed up shit, man. Like they have some where they're like a sawhorse, like a pyramid. Well, like imagine it goes up to a point and it's a few feet long. You sit on it. And they put weights on your feet, and slowly
so
over
it just
days,
splits you, yeah.
it goes up your butt crack and just starts cutting you in half.
Haven't we done that at the gym? That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's how you work your tries and your.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
That's how you tear an ACL right there.
But speaking of the
a rectum.
Inquisition, you guys remember I told you about that first landing party from Cuba that came over?
Sure, yeah.
They were getting along just fine with the Aztecs, except for their inquisitor, this holy man that came over from Spain. Basically, his job, God, gold, glory.
Right.
He was holding down the God part. His job was to convert the native people to Christianity. And basically, he wasn't very kind to the native people who didn't want to convert. So his,
Did he bring the Spanish Inquisition there, basically?
Absolutely. And a lot of times, like, say they would go to a village and they'd just play along and be like, okay, yeah, Jesus, fantastic. You guys can keep moving. We're fine.
There's another Walking Dead correlation.
Yeah,
They're
I
talking
was
about
gonna
Jesus.
say, wait a minute, were there Italians there too?
Well, I think so, probably.
yes, Jesus. We know he's gay. It's okay. We accept him. Yes.
But anyway, sometimes he would go revisit these villages and see that they were back to their old ways because they just played him the whole time, and he would just decimate the village. He'd burn an entire village, and that's what pissed off the Aztecs so bad. That's why they went back and ran off and decimated the first Spaniard landing party.
So did he get some kind of like theatrical death? Like since he was all evil, did he end up getting getting his?
He actually went back with Cortez. I'm not really sure how he ended up. I haven't.
So what? All right, Cortez. So how did his life wrap up? Was he ever like murdered? Did he die a happy old man, just conquering a nation with a?
Did him and Tylenol get married, or?
I think he made out okay, and he's
he's still alive to this day.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cortez is here in the studio with us.
I have a lot of questions.
He's actually the world's most interesting man on those Dos Equis commercials.
Oh, really? Because
that's
there's a new
Cortez.
one now, right?
Did you say Dos Equis?
He did say Dos Equis. So I was
Isn't
gonna
it
let
Dos
go right
Equis?
now. I thought it was Dos Equis. Wow, we're all
Dos
saying it
Equis.
differently. That's really cool.
I don't drink beer, but when I do, I choose Dos Equis.
That was
But,
pretty
yeah,
good.
Dos
that's
Equis.
Cortez.
I have to go back.
Dos
Yeah.
Equis.
Stay thirsty, my friend.
But the new one, he's like younger. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not nearly as
don't
interesting
like
as
him
the
as the
other
new guy,
guy. They
yeah.
picked a terrible replacement.
Agreed.
But I know that. So that guy's Cortez. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
I never knew that.
Huh, how about
What is
that?
he now? Like 500 years old?
Something around there.
He's held up pretty well.
He aged well. Kind of like fine wine.
Yep.
So, kind of give us a rundown. So, that's pretty much the overview you gave us there, right? So, give us a rundown, some parallels, just to kind of recap before we get to the comment section from last video and close out.
Okay, well, I mean, as I said, Cortez was Rick, except for, the fact that Cortez was a much bigger butthole.
Right.
He was just as brutal as...
He got that big butthole by sitting on that pyramid thing that you were talking about. Thank you!
Yeah, he was just as brutal as Montezuma. So... And he kind of brought, a zombie-like...
Which we know Rick can be if he needs to be.
I know, it's so crazy. Life isn't that black and white. Like, it's not cut and dry. Like, there's not heroes and villains. Like,
Rick
either die the hero or live long enough to see your...
Yeah, Rick started off, out the gate. Rick wouldn't let people kill people. Was like, if you kill someone... in the comics, it was like straight up, if you murder someone, you're sentenced to death.
Yep.
No questions asked. And then, as we've seen him progress, like in the show... Rick went from being officer friendly to trying to help everybody get along and to straight up like running people over with his car and shooting them in the head for not giving them the information he wants. So, we have seen, though we know he's, more or less right compared to Negan, he's done it for different reasons than Negan. At the same time, he is just as brutal as Negan if he has to be.
Yeah, I think if Rick Grimes had have lived back in that period, he would have definitely, been doing some heinous stuff.
He hacked up Gareth and then with, we think, he's not as brutal as Negan. Negan bashed someone's head in. He chopped someone up with a machete.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's a pretty brutal way to go as well.
He has taken a dead person's guts and rubbed them all over himself.
Right. So we know Rick can be as brutal as Negan if need be.
Yep.
Montezuma had a nation of people under him that could have kept him in power for a long time, but he just got a little bit too kill crazy, kind of like Negan, and slowly turned. So when someone came along and offered but salvation from his rule, everyone kind of fell in line for the majority, right? So just kind of like Rick. In the kingdom, in the hilltop, all kind of, going to all fall behind Rick and march to, like, the war for freedom.
March to war! March to war!
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
If Negan had have been if Montezuma had have been a kinder ruler, they probably would have pushed back the Spaniards, and who knows what, what Mexico would be today.
And then they would have made Cortez sit on top of that pyramid.
Yeah.
Dude, you did a lot of research. That was really...
I think we should do these like once monthly, like JP.
That'd be cool.
We had JP Plays, which we haven't done those in a while, where JP plays video games. Because if you know JP does not play video games. No. Not very often.
Well, Super Nintendo, I still love that, but like newer games, I don't have the attention span or the attention to detail. So... But if the listeners, if they can draw any historical parallels with the show,
or if you know of any that you think that could be, and you want JP to research and maybe create another program for, we'd love to. Like if you want to compare the governor to someone's rule, we'll research, and if we agree, we'll make another.
We could compare the governor to like the Tories and the Whigs.
Yeah, but again, I want to credit a lot of this info to Graham Hancock. Look him up on YouTube. He's done some great interviews on Joe Rogan's podcast. He's got a lot of like lectures out there. I'm actually reading his novel War God right now, which it is a novelization, but all the historical facts are there, and they talk about the love story between Cortez and Melanol and all that stuff. So
definitely have to
Graham
check that
Hancock, check him out.
Graham Hancock. All right, so we'll get into the comments section. I'll start. We'll go left to right. I don't know why we go left to right.
How about you do the first two? I'll do the second two, and JP does the last two.
Okay, we can do that. All right, so we're going to be answering. These are comments from our last video, which had nothing to do with this,
nothing whatsoever.
This at all. It was about what we would do in a zombie apocalypse, to which we determined halfway through the podcast is really hard to do because we need scenarios. It's really hard to be like, all right, here's exactly what I would do, because you don't know what's going on. Like, these are super fast running zombies. Clearly, we're not just going to leave here and head. It's a lot of different circumstances. So we asked you to kind of narrow them down, and we'll answer some of these kind of quick. But maybe what we'll do is keep some of these, and we will make another continuation, because it'll take a long time to answer these. Maybe we'll do short answers and create another podcast with these circumstances. So Lisa Jet says
we could spend the last 5-10 minutes just talking on this right here. She has painted a picture.
Yeah, no kidding. This could be its own podcast, and maybe it will be. She says, okay, it's still just starting in the zombie apocalypse, and you guys are now on the road to the house from Justin's house. You guys have heard from early broadcasts just before they stopped altogether that it is believed that a bite from an infected one is how this is transmitted. Anyway, you decide to stop at a corner market of some forgotten road since it looks abandoned and safe.
There's plenty of those around here.
Very detailed. You have your guard down, and Matt gets into a struggle with the market owner, Zombie.
What?
He manages to escape the clutches of the zombie, and you guys promptly kill the zombie for good by smashing its head again and again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You're very welcome. The zombie never got its mouth near Matt, but Matt has some fresh scratches on him, which are unclear as to the cause. But JP is pretty sure the zombie is scratched.
Shut up, JP. You don't know that for certain. You can't prove it.
Justin might want to argue that it's the bite that does it, but you're not really sure. It is also a chance that he did it on the wood floors or the shelves of this old market during the fight. The scratches are all on his right arm or left arm, depending on which he uses, right or left-handed. While you guys discuss this out loud, you realize you've been overheard by some very freaked neighbors whom have wandered into the store and want nothing to do with this debate and want Matt's blood. They are carrying a rifle and a handgun of some sort. What do you do? I freaking love this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's really well done, but I don't like the position that I'm in.
Elisa, I think it's Elisa. I want you. You know what? Do this. I've got some homework for you, and we will make an entire podcast brought to you by Elisa Jet. I am so impressed by the detail in that and the time you took out of your day to paint a scenario based on us for us to answer. I'll give a very, very short answer. Mm-hmm. And then we will pretty much, because, we could talk all day about this. So, Elisa, we'll get next week's podcast. We don't have anything on the docket, right? Mm-hmm. We'll do a continuation, and we'll base it off of Elisa's scenario. But, Elisa, paint us some different scenarios. It doesn't have to be one long story, like how you did that.
Like a choose-your-own-adventure kind of thing. That's exciting.
Right, exactly. Give us some other scenarios, and we will discuss. We'll have an entire podcast based on and dedicated to you, Elisa.
Should we leave that to be continued until next week?
Yes.
Okay, that's
all
exciting.
I will continue is this.
I'm dead.
Matt, I've got your back. No, I've got your back.
Okay, that's
These
not what I
freak
think was
neighbors aren't going to touch you until we start seeing. Actually, they're not going to touch you at all. But, still.
Touching.
Unless you turn.
Yeah.
But no, so we will fight for Matt. But how and exactly how this will play out, we'll talk next week. But Elisa, come on, give us some more scenarios, and we will pretty much do an entire podcast based on answering your questions.
While you were reading that, I felt like I was there.
Right.
I really did. I felt like I was in a struggle with a zombie, and I got some scratches from maybe a hardwood floor. JP's being a prick. I don't know.
Right. I do see that scenario.
I do have that, I don't know, guys. Oh dear.
Unless you're willing to amputate both of your arms.
JP wants you
to. I'll do it.
All right, Denise Washington, what weapons would you create to survive in scenarios where you are running low on bullets? Assuming you survived 6 months on your mansion getaway, what would you prioritize and execute first, second, and third in getting to survive, withstand another 3 months in the zombie apocalypse? How would you decide how to build your community and rules? What set of skills do you provide? Do you each provide to the group? That's a good. Really quickly, weapons. We still got plenty of hatchets, axes, crowbars, anything that can pierce that. Smashing is pretty important too. If you can get a nice, thick bat, that'd be great. Really, just anything that you want to, just anything that will you can kill the zombies at a decent distance.
Right.
We have a lot of knives, but that is getting kind of close. You don't want to risk it, so.
I like the idea of a moat. I've been thinking more and more about that. I like that. It's going to be difficult to build it. It's going to take some time and some machinery. But if it's doable, do it.
Yeah, the moat's a great idea.
Just start now.
Yeah. Okay, let's do
it.
There's enough water out there. It's been raining for 3 days.
The set of skills we provide each group. Now, I'm just going to go. You two can put your own input in this if you want. But I'll go ahead and give what I think.
Oh, boy.
I think I would probably be more of a protector, scavenger fighter type. I think Matt would be our cook.
I was going to say cook and keep spirits high.
Yeah, Matt could cook, and he's always in good spirits. So I think that would be Matt's role, and I think JP's role would be I don't know.
I think JP would make a good scout. You said that, but I think
type?
I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, I can see that.
And you get to bone Maggie, so that's cool.
But the problem with JP is JP's a lot less compassionate than Glenn. JP's much more of the you get bit and there's a horde of zombies coming. In JP's mind, you're probably screwed anyway. He's not. He's going to throw you in front of the zombies to get himself. So
being up in the guard tower watching someone getting eaten, he's like, oh, I bet that's awful.
Oh dear Lord,
man,
right at the throat.
Ooh, that's bad. Oh well.
So yeah, I could see that being the role. I'd be more of the taking people out to scout and fighting and stuff like protector-ish, and Matt would be the cook because Matt is an excellent cook.
Thank you. I'll keep up with the chickens.
Well, and you know food too, so you would probably be good to like run things. Be like, all right, so this is high in this. You know, this has got good carbs, so we're going to save this.
This is high in this. This is good when you're high. So,
Right. And JP will be a good scout, but maybe he will say a solo scout because he doesn't play well with others.
That was really well done. Yeah, I like that. That was good.
Yeah, we could send JP out on his own, just not with people.
Kind of like Jesus. He stays out there on his own a lot.
But Jesus doesn't sacrifice people to zombies. I mean, you kind of would be a very rare case. You'd be kind of a mix. You'd be Shane without the brutal country boyness. You know, you'd be like that part of Shane that would sacrifice
still the country boy
someone.
part, just not the brutal part.
Yeah,
I want to contribute, but I'm no hero.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to die.
No hero.
Well, not with that
Lord,
attitude.
You've been beat. You've been beat. I'm going to have to leave you behind. But yeah, so I could see that being the roles and weapons. Just anything that I say things like bats and axes are probably great. You can kill zombies at a distance without having to get too close.
Baseball bat with some nails in it.
Right. That's when you start what you got to watch. That could get stuck in their head.
That's true. You
definitely want like a long blade or just a long blunt object that you can smash with. You know what I mean? All right. So Matt, let's get the next two.
Michonne Grimes says, who do you bring with you? If you can only bring one group of, say, 5 people, friends, family, or strangers, I'm going to go underground with a motorcycle. There will be no people and no congestion. That's as far as I've got so far. Okay.
I'm pretty sure, though, the only problem is to consider with the motorcycle underground is that's going to create a lot of noise. And though it probably will be harder at some point, Matt, remember that these zombies, especially in the comics, they get into these hordes of just thousands and thousands. You let one of them figure out a way to get underground, and they're going to flood that underground system very quickly.
And she has a good point. She had the idea about the island. If you can get there and get it stocked, then you're okay. You can have enough people to keep watch. But if you have to start getting supplies early and make sure, you have to start getting supplies early and make sure you have a few boats. If you only have one, you're stuck.
Yeah, you definitely would need to leave people out on the mainland, maybe up in tree stands or something kind of hidden.
Definitely need some people over on the mainland. Like keep it like, hey, you guys spend 2 or 3 days on the mainland, then you come back and
we'll
spend
do
3 or 4
shifts.
days.
You go out on the mainland for 2 or 3 days, and then we'll keep,
You've got to have structure.
Because the problem with the island scenario is fantastic. But man, if someone, because you got to think it's a lawless world we live in. I mean, people will kill each other. Some just for pure fun and spite.
There's already people that do that nowadays,
right? Yeah. And the laws on them. Imagine when there's no consequence. So you're on an island and you have no protection, and everyone's just on this island. I mean, you're royally screwed if someone decides to invade or attack. I mean, you're at the
Yeah, just saying.
You've got no way out. Yeah, so the island would be great as long as you plan it correctly.
That's where Michonne's underground tunnel would come in handy.
Right, from the island to the mainland. That'd be great, but I'm terrified.
The tunnel.
That's where my fear is like drowning. That's probably one of my biggest fears. So I wouldn't be able to dig that tunnel.
I feel like my fear list is going to get a lot longer in the zombie apocalypse.
I think my biggest is probably drowning. Second would be heights, but I can deal with heights. For me, when it comes to heights, it's got to be like working on a rooftop or something doesn't bother me. And when I say heights, I'm talking like 100 feet higher.
Yeah.
And that's when it really starts getting me.
I don't like to sit by a window in an airplane. I'm not a fan.
Nah, I don't
Jeep, she's on the same page with Michonne Grimes as far as being on the island. She would just find herself an island, clear it of any threats, and maybe go find some chickens and goats to stock it with. They're relatively easy to maintain and a good food source.
Absolutely.
Plus, you could catch fish, and an island would be easy to defend. But the main thing, I think, is to see it coming and to start stocking up ahead of time. Don't wait until the last minute like most people. Go in Sam's Club and buy the hell out of cases of water and canned goods. Be sure to put it on your credit card because you won't have to pay the bill when everyone at Visa has turned into a zombie.
Very nice.
LOL. And seriously, that's a funny... That's a good comment. That's
very
funny.
Nice, yeah.
I'd love to see
the
that
only thing
happen.
that's scary about the island, again, it would be easy to defend if you just had people in boats coming at you, but if they start getting creative and throwing like Molotov cocktails, catching the island on fire.
Or get catapults from the shore.
Right. That's where you start getting screwed because you're trapped on this little island and there's nowhere to go. You might could swim, but I mean, then you're just, a sitting duck.
Yep.
Almost literally.
Almost.
JP, let's get the last two here. Notice we gave JP the short.
You like that? That's why I thought you did too.
So much emphasis on things.
Well, because you've done so much reading and speaking that I wanted to make your workload a little less light.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
KK Bacon says, I'd go on a long fishing trip and wait for it to blow over.
You did so good on that one, JP.
Good job, man.
I'm proud of you.
That was really good.
And I agree with that. I would go on a fishing trip as well.
And just
JP
wait
loves
for it
fishing,
to...
actually.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, JP has
I
a
just like
little boat.
fish.
He loves to
That's
go
good.
fishing.
I love fishing.
He's been telling me he's going to get the boat fixed and take me out fishing, which could be, kill me
That's
in the
totally a
middle of the lake.
euphemism, bro. That is not what's really going to happen.
It's not going to be
But-
like Godfather 2. I'm not going to...
More like Godfather 1.
What? He killed the guy on the boat in the first one?
No, it's more about the horse head in the bed.
All right, JP.
Okay, yeah.
I've never seen the Godfather.
That was a
movies.
real
Oh,
horse
they're
head.
terrible.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I've heard that was a real horse head.
See,
It was. They from a butcher shop.
I'm
right
pretty
below.
sure he kills his brother in the boat. Anyway.
No, I'm just messing with you. I'm sorry.
Huh?
Yep.
Oh, right. Joy Stone. Hey, guys, in your small group, would you bring others in? No, no, and no.
Interesting. Really?
Wow.
So
We can't trust those people. We
I mean, but
shouldn't trust them.
I would have a protocol for new people.
what do you mean by
I
those
wouldn't just-
people?
We can't trust those people.
I would have a protocol. Yes, I would bring in new people. I do understand that there probably is a number. You kind of just have to judge the situation as you go. Like, how are food rations? How successful
What
are
about
we
like
at
family
hunting?
members? What about Granny Nana?
Well, she's already in the group. We're talking
Oh,
about
whoa,
this.
whoa! I didn't make a
We
vote
didn't
on that.
bring
I don't
Granny
remember
Nana.
voting on that at all.
Oh, side note, Denise Washington, we didn't mean to ignore your other questions again. We're just kind of wrapping up. So when we do the Elisa Jet, I always say her name wrong, podcast where her painting us scenarios, we'll keep yours and we'll add yours too, where you asked like family members, who would we who would we bring? Which is going to be hard because I think we're kind of going off of like it's us in the zombie apocalypse. Because, of course, everyone would want to bring all their family members.
Right.
That's the thing about the zombie apocalypse when you hear people say, man, I would love, because you do hear people say, I'd love to, but zombie apocalypse would be kick ass. That means basically for that to happen, almost everyone you know and love has to die.
Right.
When a zombie apocalypse happens, you get these monsters. They don't come out of underground caverns and you get to kick ass. Like these are regular people that turn into zombies. Like a lot of people, good innocent people, have to die for a zombie apocalypse to happen.
Assuming that I'm the only caretaker left, I would bring my 10-year-old niece with me because she's at that age now she can take care of herself.
Oh, yeah,
but she'd be like a Clementine kind of thing. That's what I'm saying. Like we grow up to become like this really hard and badass bitch.
Yeah,
that'd be really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Yeah, no, at 10 years old, I mean that's like Carl. Carl was probably about 10 or 11 when.
And she's not so young where I'd be tempted to cannibalize her. So,
that's true.
Yeah,
that's right.
Very
We
true.
forgot JP.
Bro,
believes
you wouldn't
in
be
eating
tempted to
babies.
do like yeah. Never mind. I just
so
you would,
plan number one is we stay awake in shifts watching JP.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. I mean, well, literally, I'm always gonna be in between him and her.
Right.
So
I told you she's too old to want to cannibalize.
I don't care, man. You'll look at it and you'll be like, I bet those arms are delicious, and I'd be like, no, JP.
Well,
I bet they probably are, but you're not going to find
Rest
out.
assured, the first time JP suggested we eat another living person, I'd put a bullet in his head.
I like that.
I
I do
would
like
not
that idea.
think
That's
If
why I
you
said
guys
that.
are hungry,
I'd have
enough,
to
I
let
think
my
you'd come
niece do
around.
it so that way she could kind of learn. And I mean, the only way to get into the zombie apocalypse is just throw you right into it.
Oh yeah, no. The first time JP showed any desire or
even a joke where he's just like, "Man, I'm really hungry.
like it really happens.
I
It's
can
like,
eat your
remember
arms
we
right
used to
now."
podcast,
Lord
like,
have
when I said I was
mercy.
going to eat people.
Yep.
Dude, I'm not risking it. I already got to worry about everything else in the world trying to eat me. I'll be damned if I'm going to let something intelligent want to eat me. Mm-hmm. At least the zombies are mindless, shambling shells of people. A thinking, strategizing person that wants to eat me. I'm not going to give you the
I
chance.
think Matt's already coming around. He already brought up his niece's succulent wing portions.
Oh boy.
He brought
We're
it up.
not talking
me.
about a 10-year-old succulent anything.
Yeah, I didn't like the word succulent in that instance.
I'm talking about. I'm comparing chicken to.
Yeah, I get what you're doing. I just don't.
All right, so scenario one: zombie apocalypse breaks out. We shoot JP in the head.
So that's decided. All right, we'll take care
So
of Granny
JP's
Nana. Don't
dead.
worry. We'll make sure she's.
I'm sure
okay.
she's plenty succulent.
Why is that different?
That meat is dried up, dude.
Oh man.
You'll know. Matt
Yeah.
here's. I did say Matt was going to be our cook.
Yeah.
Matt knows how to take things that aren't that good and make them good.
All
so.
you need is a little bit of allspice and a little bit
If
of
you
ground
saw the
ginger.
thing-
And I'm sure in the zombie apocalypse, the last thing people are thinking to grab are spices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You probably if you go into like a food line once it's cleared out, we would use some kind of strategy to draw the zombies out, and then we would go in and sweep it and everything. I bet you there would be like an entire rack of sauces.
I'd grab them.
And that would also, you said your role would be to cook and lift spirits in a world filled with very boring food, just like cooked rabbit.
Yep.
What would lift spirits better than some finely spiced, seasoned like
That's
deer
true.
meat,
Or
rabbit
I could
meat?
grab a bunch of cinnamon and just be like, guys, let's do a cinnamon challenge. Yay! So I don't know. Just shoving cinnamon in zombies' mouths and just see what happens.
I never say her name.
Wow, that was-
Elisa Jet? Is it Elisa or Eliza?
I thought she said Elisa.
Elisa.
I think Elisa.
All right, so if she can draw out a couple of... I'm really excited. I really like
cool.
the detail in that.
I'm eager to see what's going to happen. Am I going to die, guys?
Give us a few of the... Probably. I
been
see that happen. Give us a few more. Paint us a few of these pictures, and we will answer them accordingly, because it is really... Unless you're going to draw us one long story, which then kind of takes out the point of us having a choice if you're determining everything. So give us a bunch of different scenarios, and from those scenarios, we'll go forward.
I like that
from
idea.
those, instead of just one long story. Like, do what you did, like that, a good paragraph, and then just do a couple of those. And I really look forward to answering those.
Nice.
Those will be really fun.
It's kind of like a Which Way book.
Yeah. Is that the same thing as a
Choose Your Own Adventure?
Yeah.
type thing?
Okay. All right. Which Way book? I never heard of
Yeah,
that.
they did a
Dungeons
Batman.
and Dragons in a way.
This has probably been one of my top 5. This is definitely in my top 5 favorite podcasts.
It's been a very,
It was a lot
very
of fun.
podcast.
This was really good.
I hope I did justice to the rich history of.
I hope you did too.
We know you did.
Oh.
We know you
Okay.
did.
Well, Justin's got a little more optimism than I do.
You guys are going to fact check after this, and there was no Cortez or Montezuma.
Yeah, I've never
No
heard of either.
mushrooms.
I did look up Montezuma's Revenge today just to find out why Traveler's Diarrhea is called Montezuma's Revenge. Can't find anything. It's also called Delhi Belly.
Oh.
Like New Delhi, the Indian, New Delhi.
yeah.
Okay.
Delhi Belly is another name for it. Didn't know that. Learned it.
Deli Belly.
Sometime this summer, before the show comes back on, I do want to have a day where we just talk about individual stuff that's on TV, comics, movies.
Well, I want to
whatever.
create a whole podcast about that.
Yeah, this would be a nice little backdoor pilot.
I'd like to create an entire podcast, because Jaypea and I have been talking about forever doing something with The Walking Dead. But then again, you could do an entire podcast with an issue, but I feel like it would be better if you condensed it down to like 10 minutes of talking about that, and then maybe throw in like a couple of other things.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Well, we had talked about like a Weekly Geekly kind of thing, which sadly that name's taken. but-
Oh, what about
What about Weekly Geekly?
Yerdly Nerdly? I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure out. If you got any idea for cool names, let us know, because we do want to do a weekly thing. I mean, we'd like to get like 2 or 3 podcasts out a week. It'd be great. We just need the content in which to deliver.
I could talk about because the Flash starts back tonight. I could talk about that all day long.
I will be caught up by the time we do this
You
thing.
better.
Too.
Where are you
I
right
just
now?
finished season. I mean, I've just season 2 as far as I've got.
This has been a pretty good season.
I gotta
agree.
watch.
I will say last
I've
season
got to
was
watch
better.
Iron Fist, but Matt's gotten me like
Okay,
not too
no.
optimistic about it.
Well, here's the thing.
Because I don't
Starts
like
off
Arrow.
strong.
I think Arrow's extremely boring. I like from episode 1 pretty much on. I forced myself to watch it because I was like, okay, this is going to cross over with the Flash at some point, and I want to see that. Kind of like with comics, JP. I'm sure you've probably bought some issues just because they're going to connect, even though you didn't really enjoy them. And I think I got like either 8 or 11 episodes in, and I just was like, I can't do it. Arrow's not downing it. If you like it, you like
not
it.
your
It's
cup of
not
tea.
my show.
But
so.
no, I mean, what were you?
About Iron Fist.
Iron
And you
Fist is
compared
good.
kind of to that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's like JP said. It's great starting off. Really slow period in like the middle, like big chunk of it, but it finishes strong.
I felt kind of like Luke Cage was that way. Like it had its really high moments, but then it had some points that were a little slower.
See, and that's the thing. I wondered for a while, because everybody was talking about how Iron Fist isn't that good when it first started. Then people had a chance to binge watch the whole thing, and so the critics are saying it's not that good, but the fans are saying it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good.
Right.
like
I didn't care for Black Fist.
Luke Cage.
That is a Freudian slip. I'm so sorry. Luke Cage, or his friends called him Black Fist.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know why that's so funny. But no, Luke Cage wasn't really, that too much of the acting was great, but I don't know, the whole kind of blaxploitation film kind of feel that they had going on to it.
Right.
Nah, I wasn't really a fan.
I
of it.
loved it.
Did you
Loved it.
really?
Yeah, JP
Yeah.
said it's like his second
If
favorite.
I- rate
Cottonmouth,
him-
amazing. That guy's an amazing
That's what I
villain.
came back and told you when I was watching. I was like, the dude playing Cottonmouth is a great, great villain.
But the dude who took over as the villain, like
that
later
was
on the
stupid.
show,
Like
yeah, I
they
didn't
could have
like
just
him.
seen
He wasn't that good.
Cottonmouth to the end of the season and had some great kind of, or maybe like Cottonmouth hired that guy to like do the final fight since he was kind of a badass fighter, and then you know what I mean. Like I
liked it,
agree. I
though.
wasn't.
I liked
a fan
it. His
of the,
Cottonmouth's sister's the one who took him out. I thought that
Yeah,
was
his cousin.
Viola Davis,
her cousin
wasn't it?
or whatever.
cousin, yeah, very Amanda Walker kind of character,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, no, Luke Cage was all right. I'm the same way. It's like I liked it. I mean, I definitely say you should watch it, but it wasn't. I like Daredevil when Daredevil, like JP said earlier, when Daredevil and Punisher got together in season 2, that's when I knew Daredevil.
Yeah, that's top of the heap for sure.
And I just feel like Luke Cage was more of a badass in the Jessica Jones series than he was in his own show.
I liked him in Jessica Jones.
Because he was just much more of like a badass guy, you know?
He went into the first season of his own show with a broken heart. He got shot with a shotgun.
Yeah.
He was
that is true, right in the
rebuilding.
head. So I can understand
It
that.
was kind of a transitional phase
Hey,
for
we
him.
can definitely start a podcast with the Punisher series that just wrapped up filming.
Oh,
I
sweet. I'm looking forward to that.
Love. If Walking Dead fans, you've got your very own Shane as the Punisher.
And that's going to definitely, I know Deadpool showed people that R-rated Marvel movies are going to be good. This is definitely going to be like, okay, it wasn't a one and done thing.
No.
This is
John
awesome.
Bernthal, however you say his name, as the Punisher is like casting genius. I mean, he basically is Shane, but Shane is like the Punisher.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a perfect casting choice. And it really reminds me a lot of like the Stephen Dillon style Punisher. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So definitely check that out. And I have really enjoyed this podcast. I can't wait to do like a weekly geekly type
Sorry it was
thing.
a day late.
That's all. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was kind of a busy day yesterday.
We were really. It was, and I felt like ass.
You weren't feeling too good
No,
yesterday.
so better now, and I am looking forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yes.
Elisa Jett, get busy.
Yes. Are we supposed to say our things? Like our names?
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. That was funny, though. Here we go. Alyssa Jett, get on it.
All right. Elisa, where's his mom? Okay. Elisa Jett, get on it. I'm Justin.
I'm Matt.
And JP.
We could take that out in post, right?
Yes.